Actually,
Dave, this is Susan. You look like you're going into the witness protection program. So could you turn on a light so we could at least see your smiling face?
oh, you guys don't want to see that.
Oh, we do.
It's actually, I don't know what the deal is with this here, but I've been trying to get it to go lighter, and this really hasn't been working too well. There's my light. So is that better? Nope. I don't know. I think it's the camera.
That's all right. At least we know it's you.
It's better now. Okay. So yeah, I've been on a board member since I think it was April 2011. It's been my honor to work for the state of California. It's absolutely been my honor to work with the rest of the board members. It's been amazing, and especially my honor to work with the staff at CSLB. You guys have been great. You guys, every time I've asked for something or talked about it, like Dave says, or I've been asked, or I've talked to Dave an awful lot about unlicensed contractors as I walk out of my house in Pleasanton and look around and, okay, this guy's not licensed, this guy's not licensed, this guy's not licensed. And it just gets ridiculous now. And my neighbors really don't particularly like me much because of that, but oh well. One of the neighbors said something to me, and I said, check it out. I swore an oath to the Constitution of the state of California, not to you, and that's the way it is. And we're going to go and fight this underground economy and all that. Didn't make a real friend there, but oh well. But again, like I said, it's been an absolute honor to work for the state of California on the CSLB and with everybody involved. And I mean, I'm retiring in 8 weeks from today, and it's been actually I'm probably sit on 50 committees, state and national, and for my local, and this has actually been the funnest job I've ever done in my life, and it's been amazing. So thank you so much.
David, this is Johnny. I just want everybody to be aware. Dave, I consider David a personal friend, and as I came on the board, as I'm sure everybody did, you think you know a lot about the board, but I got to tell you, man, you really helped me when I came on, and I've always considered you not just a friend but a mentor on the state contractors license board, and I've always appreciated your friendship, man. And retiring is always a great thing, and sure the Sheet Metal Workers Union will absolutely miss you. You're a very, very brilliant and great guy, and I just don't know anybody's got a bad word to say about you. So thank you for all your hard work. I think we got a couple other comments. Kevin, I see your hand is raised. Kevin Albanese.
It is. Thank you very much, Johnny. Hey, Dave, I just want to wish you nothing but great success and happiness going forward. You were, I think you're the only one that's still on the board that was on before and you've always been the consummate professional. You definitely have a great labor background, but when you were here, you brought that perspective, but never put it in front of the consumer. And I've always respected you for that. I wish you nothing but great success in your retirement. Thanks for being a friend and a mentor on the board. And it's been great working with you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
I see David wants to say a few words. Dave.
Yeah, I do. I want to echo what Kevin said. David Diaz has truly been a mentor for me, and he's been a mentor for much of the staff here. He has opened doors for us as it relates to the heating and air conditioning industry and the need for enhanced permit compliance. He's provided so many ideas that have been beneficial. And we had a joint meeting with the Nevada board, and he's helped us in the past in securing sting sites that were near the Nevada border. And so we really appreciate that. It'll always be remembered for two stings that he helped us with. And one, we had a joint sting with Nevada, where we had a sting site on their side and they had a sting site in California. We had the same person show up on consecutive days at both sites to bid unlicensed. And what was really funny about it is it was done we had video, and he wore the exact same clothes to both stings. And I remember last year, it was last year, the year before, we were going to do a joint sting, and it snowed in May. But again, David, just really want to thank you for all that you've done to help and how accessible you've been over the years. I wish you well in your retirement.
Thank you so much. One other thing is that I never thought when I got on the board that I'd do my last board meeting, from Zoom or whatever this is, WebEx, in shorts, barefooted, and no shirt and tie on it. So that's a little different.
Yeah, I hear you, Dave. That's it's definitely a change for guys like us not to have a tie on, sitting in our sandals. Do we have any other board comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through the chair. Hey, Dave, I just want to congratulate you. Thank you for your service to the board, and wish you the best in your new endeavors. And I don't know if you still plan on taking that trek from I don't know, what is it, the Nevada border up to Tahoe. But if you do, if you haven't, and you're going to go through with it, be safe. All right, best of luck.
I will. Thank you.
Anyone else? Marlo.
Sorry, trying to figure out how to raise my hand. I had to rotate my phone. I just want to say to both of you guys, it's been a pleasure working with you, and thank you very much for everything that you've contributed, and enjoy retirement, Dave, and hopefully you won't be a stranger.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marlo. Okay, with that, do we have any public comment?
No public comment at this point.
Okay. Well, let's get on to agenda item F, review and discussion of statistical information of CSLB operations. For this meeting, instead of each division providing a written and verbal program update, statistical information was prepared for the licensing and enforcement divisions and compiled into one document. Before I highlight the statistics, I would like Dave Fote to tell us how CSLB has been able to achieve its core functions during this pandemic.
Thank you, Chair Simpson. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all CSLB staff throughout the state for their dedication and commitment in meeting the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. Their ongoing hard work during this difficult time has ensured that the CSLB has continued to meet its consumer protection mandate. And I'd like to highlight three individuals, and if you'll just bear with me for a second. The first is our board chair, Johnny Simpson. When CSLB first received notification in March from the Department of Consumer Affairs that CSLB would need to close its offices, I contacted Johnny and I said, well, we need to take steps to protect our staff. And I still remember well what he told me. He said, we have to meet our core function, but we have to do everything we can to keep our staff healthy. That our goal is to not have staff become infected. And Johnny suggested, let's do what we can to allow them to telecommute. Let's set a goal and let's make it happen. His support for staff during this pandemic has been unwavering. And I just want to thank you, Johnny, for all that you've done and how accessible you've been. I'll tell you, you can send Johnny an email or call him at any time and he answers his phone. So thank you, Johnny. Now, the next step, though, was to make this happen. We knew we had to quickly provide equipment to staff that hadn't previously worked in the field. We also knew this was going to be very challenging, and it was going to be, I think, stressful for staff to be told that they now had to work from home when they had worked in an office environment, and we needed to make sure that they had the equipment they need. Now, fortunately, we have a chief deputy registrar here by the name of Tanya Cochran, that you all know. And Tanya has more administrative experience, I believe, than anybody in state government. And she really brought that to the forefront in obtaining and repurposing 121 laptops. She made sure that staff not only had the training that they needed, but also understood that there are security protocols that have to be complied with. And she took it a step further by conducting daily meetings with managers throughout the board to make sure that they had the information and the resources to continue to be successful. She called them our business continuity meetings, and I can tell you firsthand that the staff very much appreciated those meetings and all that she did to provide them the assistance and the tools that they needed. And finally, Rick Lopes, our Chief of Public Affairs. Rick developed a daily bulletin, and this was very helpful to staff that had their work environment abruptly changed. And he solicited information from staff as to what they felt would be interesting. He kept all staff informed on a daily basis of what was happening with the board, made sure that he really reinforced the importance of their work. And I will tell you something, that daily bulletin was distributed every morning by 7:30, and the staff really appreciated it, Rick. I appreciate it, so thank you. So thank all three of you for all that you've done to continue to make the board successful during this COVID-19 pandemic.
'25. Am I up? Am I up? Yeah, okay. Let's go to page 25. We begin with licensing statistics. This page best summarizes operations before and now during the pandemic. Over the past 12 months, our licensing population has declined by 1,237 licensees. At this time, our overall population count remains steady, but staff will need to continue to closely monitor licensed population. In the midst of this pandemic, the board stayed on course and launched the sole online renewal on April 6th, which renews the license in real time. In addition, as public counters were closed, IT staff moved several other payment transactions online, including paying for all other license renewal types. You can see on page 25 under licensing statistics that in April, 2,701 renewals, which is the online owner renewals and kiosk renewals, were paid online, equating to approximately 21% of the license renewed. On page 28, renewals processed in March and April 2020 exceeded renewals processed in the prior 2 years. In April 2020, staff processed over 13,000 renewals, an increase of more than 4,000 over the prior year. A few areas where the pandemic and the 6-foot physical spacing requirements has most affected staff workloads in waiver applications, record certification, and caller centers. Fortunately, our IT division moved quickly to procure additional laptops to enable licensing staff to work remotely with access to required databases. Further, staff have been redirected within licensing and other CSLB divisions to assist with licensing processing workloads. The call center is one area where it has been difficult to fully staff because of the need to maintain physical distances between staff and infrastructure necessary, such as equipment, software, to operate the call center. To address this, 2 emails have been set up so that consumers, licensees, and applicants can email their questions instead of waiting on hold. Staff are responding to email inquiries within 24 hours of receipt. Additionally, staff are exploring options to set up workstations in other areas of the building to provide the 6-foot distancing. Moving to enforcement. This fiscal year, CSLB is receiving 1,562 complaints per month, 765 fewer complaints than in the prior fiscal year. Telecommuting has been beneficial to staff by allowing them to focus on their older cases. As of April 2020, 78 of the 3,766 open complaints exceeded 270 days in age. That makes 2 months in a row, March and April, aged cases have been less than the board goal of 100 days. I want to recognize enforcement staff for their success in resolving administrative citations. Through informal settlement conferences, 343 administrative licensees and non-licensee settlement conferences were conducted, with more than 80% settled. To date, more than 1.3 million in civil penalties were collected. Is there any comment on any of this? No action is required on this. Do we have any board comment? I see Marlo. Do you have your hand up, or was that on a previous issue? Previous issue. Okay. Do we have any public comment, Rick?
No public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, let's move on to G, licensing. The Construction Management Education Account Program. For that, I will turn it over to Licensing Chair David Diaz.
Okay, you guys can hear me again, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. Thank you, Johnny. Page 39 contains the background of the Construction Management Education Account Program, including its purpose, the awarding procedure, and a list of advisory committee members that review the proposed award amounts annually. In the past, board members have received a letter from the registrar each year with the proposed award amounts for institutions that had applied. Board members were given 30 days to ask questions or request further review from the board. We are recommending a new process that requires a board vote on the awarded amounts. On page 41, you will see staff recommendations for the awards. This is a distribution proposal that we are already sent to the board members on November 1, 2019. Staff is also asking that we formally modify our procedure so that all future grant awards will require a board vote. I recommend this should occur at each December meeting. Let's see. Before I take any comments, I'd like to ask the board members to consider two following motions. Direct staff to distribute the 2020 CMEA grant awards according to the recommendations on page 41, and direct staff to bring the CMEA grant award proposal annually to the board for its approval at the December board meetings. Any board comments? None? Okay. Rick, are there any members of the public who wish to make comment?
No public comments.
Thank you. Is there a motion from the board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any board member comments? Rick, again, are there any members from the public who wish to make a comment?
No public comment.
Okay. Please, can you please take roll call?
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Kevin Albanese,
Aye.
Altamira.
Aye.
Maggie Beltran,
Aye.
David Pelletory,
Aye.
Dave Diaz,
Aye.
Susan Granzella,
Aye.
Anna Love,
Aye.
Marla Richardson,
Aye.
Jim Ruane,
Aye.
Nancy Springer, excuse me, absent, Mary Tykert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Felice. That concludes the licensing update.
Thank you, David. Next, we'd like to move on to agenda item H, legislation. For that, I would like to turn it over to Chair Augie Beltran.
Thank you, Chair. We're now on agenda item H, legislation program update. The first item is review, discussion, and possible action on 2019-2020 legislation. On page 45 of your packets begins the analysis of 6 active bills in the legislature that the board will be asked to take a position on. 5 of the bills, CSLB is directly involved in or sponsored. One of the bills, AB 2471, CSB is not involved in, but staff is recommending the board take a position on. Regarding the 5 bills involving CSLB, on April 7th, 2020, Registrar David Fote explained in an email update to board members that the legislative chair authorized staff to send support letters to the legislature on the CSLB approved legislation. This was done with my support and in compliance with page 15 of the board procedure manual, which states, and I quote, in the event that time constraints preclude board action, the board delegates to the chair of the legislative committee for the authority to take action on legislation. The decision was made because the authors of the measure were asking for CSLB support, and due to COVID-19, the board was unable to quickly convene to take a position on these bills. Today is the first opportunity for the board to formally support these 5 CSLB approved bills as introduced by the legislature. However, the board has previously reviewed, vetted, and directed staff to pursue these measures at the board meetings of December 2018, September 2019, and December 2019. I'll take the bills out of order from what's listed on the board meeting agenda. First, reviewing the 5 CSLB approved bills and then come back to the final bill, AB 2471. I will note that the bill number and corresponding page of the board packet so we may all follow along. After each bill, I will ask for a motion to support as currently pending before the legislature. Chief Jay is available to answer any of the questions about the measures should there be any. All right, first one. AB 2210 Aguilar Curry, Contractors Violations Disciplinary Actions. We're on page 47 of your packets. This is a CSLB sponsored measure. The bill allows CSLB to discipline a licensee upon a final order from DOSH establishing that a licensee failed to provide the proper tree safety training or equipment to employees. Regardless of the severity of the incident, it extends the statute of limitations for CSLB to initiate discipline action against a contractor for a labor code violation from 180 days to 18 months. This change will provide CSLB and partnering state agencies with the time needed to identify violations, perform a thorough investigation, and to achieve consistency with CSLB's general statute of limitation found in Business and Professions Code 7091. The bill was heard on May 21st in the Assembly and referred to appropriations with a consent calendar recommendation. Do any board members have a question on this bill? Rick, anybody in the public have a question?
Nothing on this measure.
At this time, I will take a motion.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Once again, Rick, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Board member comments? Seeing none. Elise, please take a roll call.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Kevin Albanese,
Aye.
Frank Altamura,
Yes.
Lucky Beltran,
Aye.
David Delatorre,
Aye.
Dave Diaz, Dave,
Aye. Sorry.
Susan Granzella,
Aye.
Hello?
Aye.
Aye. Jimmy Wayne,
Aye.
Nancy Springer is absent. Mary Tykert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now we move on to AB 2232 Grayson, Contractors Renewal of Licenses. We're on page 48 of your packets, and this is also a CSLB sponsored measure. This bill authorizes the registrar to retroactively renew a license automatically within 90 days of expiration, provided a complete renewal is received with appropriate fees. The bill was heard on May 21st in the Assembly B&P and referred to appropriations with the consent calendar recommendation. Any board members have questions on this bill? Rick, public?
No comment. No, nothing. Sorry, nothing from the public.
Okay, I'll take a motion at this time, please.
Make motion?
Second.
Have a motion in a second. Rick, any public?
No comments from the public.
Anybody from the board? Nope. Please take roll call.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Kevin Albanese,
Aye.
Frank Altamura,
Yes.
Lucky Beltran,
Aye.
David Delatorre,
Aye.
Dave Diaz,
Aye.
Susan Granzella,
Aye.
Dana Love,
Aye.
Noel Richardson. Aye.
Was I sorry?
Jimmy Wayne,
Aye.
Nancy Springer is absent. Mary Tykert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okey doke. Moving on. Now we're at AB 2471, which is moving currently through business and professions. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. We're skipping 2471 and moving to AB 3087 Bro, Professions and Vocations. This is on page 51 of your packets, and it's also a CSLB sponsored measure. CSLB does not currently have the authority to contract for the administration of its license examinations. This bill provides CSLB authority to contract with a third-party vendor for the administration of its licensing examinations, which will greatly expand applicant access to testing services and save CSLB over $500,000 a year. This bill does not change CSLB occupational analysis and examination development, which will still be performed in-house. This bill was heard on May 21st in Assembly Business and Professions and referred to appropriations with the consent calendar recommendation. Any board members have a question on this?
Ms. Marlowe, I have a question.
Go ahead, Marlo.
The third-party vendors, does that have any thing to do with what we're currently experiencing with COVID and our, I guess, the prohibition of using third-party vendors? Or if that bill is approved, will we not have to worry about that?
Registrar, what you got?
Yeah, well, I attend to a lot of meetings that have included third-party vendors, and the Department of Consumer Affairs does use third-party vendors now. And the advantage they have is that they've already started testing applicants where we're still waiting to get our necessary PPE. It's going to allow us to leverage resources with other state agencies to provide greater service to our applicants. And also, eventually, there might be an opportunity to do some kind of online testing where you would have a proctor overseeing one or two people taking the exam. So there's a lot of advantages to the applicant if we were able to contract with a private vendor.
Good, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Rick, anybody from the public?
No comments on this bill.
Okay, I would take a motion
So moved.
Motion.
It sounds like I got a motion and a second. Any questions from the board? Rick, anything from the public?
Nothing from the public.
All right, Feliz, hit it.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
David Albanese,
Aye.
Frank Altamira,
Yes.
Lucky Beltran,
Aye.
David Delatorre,
Aye.
Dave Diaz,
Yeah.
Susan Granzilla,
Aye.
Diana Love,
Aye.
Marlo Richardson,
Aye.
Jim Wayne,
Aye.
Nancy Springer is absent, Mary Tykert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, SB 1189 McGuire, contracting businesses, home improvement, residential property. This is on page 52 of your packet. CSLB partnered with the author on this bill. This bill creates a new classification of licensed contractor as a subdivision within the existing general building contractor classification called residential remodeling contracting. Also clarifies that unlicensed persons contracting for home improvement restoration projects in declared disaster zones are subject to felony prosecution. This bill was heard on May 18th in Senate Business and Professions and was unanimously referred to Senate approach. Does the board have any questions on this? Rick, public?
Yeah, we do have one member of the public that would like to comment. Richard Markison, please go ahead and make your comments.
Yeah, good morning, board, and thank you. Richard Markison on behalf of the Western Electrical Contractors Association. We remain opposed to the provision that would permit a B2 license to do minor electrical work. WECA has long maintained that the electrician certification law should apply irrespective of the license classification of the employing contractor. We're currently working, and we certainly appreciate the effort of your staff to craft narrow exceptions to have a very narrow ability for the B2 to do electrical work, only replacing certain items. However, WECA still strongly believes that for electrician certification to be meaningful in California, it should apply to any electrician doing any work, irregardless of his or her employer. We are crafting a new amendment that we will be sending to your staff to attempt to resolve this issue. And we appreciate your continued efforts and look forward to working with your staff, hopefully, and be able to remove our opposition. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments, Rick?
No, that is the only public comment on this bill.
Okay, staff recommendation is the board support this bill. Is there a motion for support?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for support. Rick, any other public comment?
No, no further comment.
Any other board comment? Please call roll.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Kevin Albanese,
Aye.
Frank Altamira,
Yes.
Lucky Beltran,
Aye.
David Delatorre,
Aye.
Dave Diaz,
Yeah.
Susan Granzilla,
Aye.
Diana Love,
Aye.
Marlo Richardson. Yes. So that I,
So it's an aye.
Jimmy Wayne,
Marlo, you're on mute.
Aye.
Nancy Springer is absent, Mary Tykert. Motion passes.
Okie dokie. SB 1474, Senate Business, Professions, and Economic Development Committee Bill. We're on page 54 of your packets. This is the Senate Business and Professions Committee's annual omnibus bill. As explained in the analysis, in December, the board approved several technical, non-substantive proposals for improving the contractor's license law. These were later accepted by the Senate Business and Professions Committee and are now in this omnibus. They're in the bill. Okay, you got to forgive me. I'm wearing bifocals and it's killing me. I'm trying to. As this is an omnibus bill, there are many sections unrelated to CSLB in the bill. I'll briefly remind the board of 3 sections containing CSLB approved ideas that are in this bill. Remove the apostrophe from the following official titles in the law: Contractor State License Law, Contractor State License Board, and the Contractors License Fund. Replace a previously existing provision of the Contractor State License Law that was accidentally deleted by CSLB-sponsored AB 3087 BRO back in 2018, relating to cash deposits in lieu of a contractor's bond. And 3, place CSLB's authority to issue a letter of admonishment into its own section of law. The bill was heard on May 18th in Senate Business and Professions and was unanimously referred to Senate Appropriations. Do any board members have a comment on this bill? How about the public, Rick?
No public comment on this bill.
Okay. Chair will take a motion on this bill for support.
Motion to support.
Second.
Anybody going to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay. I don't know, Rick, if maybe it's my Wi-Fi, but things seem to be slowing down on my end.
I'm going to blame it on your bifocals. Everything looks good. I think it.
There's a motion and a second. Rick, is there any questions from the public?
No further comment.
Okay. Any questions from the board on? Okay. Any comments on the board from the board on this bill, the motion? Okay, we got to go live at some point again. Please, I'll take a vote on this, please.
Jody Simpson,
Aye.
Kevin Albanese,
Aye.
Okay, my vote's sinking really quick here.
Augie Beltran,
Please? I'll take roll call, please.
yeah, are you ready?
Please, this is Rick. I'm going to jump in for just a second. I've had a couple board members and obviously including Augie, that they're saying their audio has gotten really slow. Other board members, it seems to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Never had this problem before. Not sure how to troubleshoot this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like Augie definitely is on some kind of a delay, which doesn't make sense. The only thing
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. One thing you may want to do, Augie, is, and also it looks like Frank's having audio problems too, is you do have the ability to call in on the phone and join that. So on your screen, if you go up to the connections, the communicate button, and click on the communicate button, and go to audio connection, it says you're currently using your computer for audio. You can actually have the system call you. So. Oh, thank you. Augie looks like he is voting his aye for that. But if you want to go ahead and switch that over, have the system call you on your telephone. You'll still have your computer on, but you'll get your audio over the telephone, and that may take care of your delay.
Ready to continue?
Yeah, go ahead, please, because I believe I only have 2 of them. Looks like David and Missy, a couple of staff people, but I think the other board members are okay. If you have any problem with your audio, board members, please send me a message on chat, and I'll note that.
David Delatorre,
Aye.
Dave Diaz,
Aye.
Susan Granzella,
Aye.
Diana Love,
Aye.
Marla Richardson,
Aye.
Jimmy Wayne,
Aye.
Nancy Springer's absent, Mary Tiker.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, this is Rick. We are in the break, but I'm going to keep talking so people can test the system. If you're receiving audio, you should be. Augie, looks like you're trying to talk. I'll unmute you. There, Augie, are you able to hear me now?
I can hear you. I don't know if I'm how live I am with
Yes,
you.
you are. I see you in real time. I can see you and I can hear you live.
Yeah, it sounds good, Augie, and it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let
again,
me-
if any other people are having problems with this, is to try the audio option. Yeah, Mr. Chair, it sounds like we've got Augie, so that's that we may be good to come back into session at when you're ready.
All right, let's come back into session, and Augie, if you can continue.
Okay, let's try it again. Did we pass the last one? The last motion, was that passed?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're on behalf of the board, I'd like to congratulate CSLB staff on the preliminary successes with these important board-approved measures. With the legislature's focus on COVID-19, getting hearing dates for bills, particularly with the shortened legislative calendar, has been a challenge. Now for the bill we did out of order on the agenda, AB 2471, Senior Citizens Rescission of Contracts. Okay, now we're on page 49 of your packet. This is not a CSLB sponsored measure. The CSLB was asked by the sponsors of this measure, the San Diego County District Attorney, if the CSLB could support this measure. This bill extends the right to cancel certain contracts for persons 65 years of age or older from these 3 business days to 5 business days. Specifically, it grants senior citizens an extended right to cancel specified home improvement contracts and properly assess clean energy PACE assessment contracts. The bill was heard on May 27th in Assembly Judiciary and passed to the Assembly floor. Do any board members have any comments on this item? Does anybody from the public have a comment on the item, Rick?
No public comment.
Okay. Next item. Oh, there's no, okay, so, Chief, are you looking for a motion on this one? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So this one, I take a motion of support on this.
So move.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Rick, is there any public comment?
No comments.
Okay, any more board comments? Please take roll.
Johnny Simpson,
Aye.
Kevin Albanese,
Aye.
Frank Altamura,
Yes.
Augie Beltran,
Aye.
David Delatorre, absent. Dave Diaz,
Yes.
Susan Granzella,
Aye.
Diana Love,
Aye.
Marla Richardson,
Aye.
Jimmy Wayne,
Aye.
Nancy Springer, absent. Mary Tiker.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item G, CSLB legislative proposal raising minor work exemption from 500 to 1,000. This item is an update only, not an action item. There is no corresponding packet content. At its September 2019 meeting, the board approved a legislative proposal for staff to seek an author for a bill that would raise the minor work exemption, license exemption provided for in the contractor state license law from $500 to $1,000. Staff did locate an author who was willing to author the bill, and draft legislative language was obtained from legislative counsel. However, opposition was received with concerns about raising the threshold for unlicensed practice, where there was where there is an avenue for employers to circumvent tax withholding and employers' compensation insurance requirements in the developing gig economy. CSLB staff was in the process of working on the language that may resolve concerns received when the legislature changed its priorities because of COVID-19. As a result, this proposal is not being pursued at this time. Staff will bring the matter back to the board before taking additional action on this proposal. Next item, review, discussion, and possible action regarding previously board-approved proposed rulemaking to amend Title 16 of the California Code of Regulations. Now we're on page 57. This agenda item involves the continuing regulatory rulemaking that this board initially approved staff to undergo back in March 2019. This rulemaking is a direct result of AB 2138-2, which was signed by Governor Brown in September 2018. As a reminder, AB 2138 dealt with removing barriers to licensure for applicants with criminal convictions in their background. To comply with AB 2138, CSLB regulations must change. The bill's provisions become active July 2021. The CSLB is on track for these regulations to be finalized and in effect by that deadline. For a quick background, the board approved the regulatory language and authorized staff to initiate the rulemaking in March of 2019. During review of the draft language, staff and legal counsel identified needed revisions to the language, primarily for the consistency and accuracy. As a result, in September 2019, the board voted to rescind the prior text and approve a new text with changes. As the update in your packet for this item explains, on April 28, 2020, staff held the required public hearing at this rulemaking and received comments from the public about this rulemaking. The comments received from the public began on page 59. The board must now vote on proposed responses to these comments, as well as some of the final amendments to the regulatory text recommended by DCA legal counsel that are in the next agenda item following the one we're about to cover. So, review, discussion, and possible action regarding comments received during the 45-day comment period. Now we're on page 65. This item summarizes the public comments the board received on its rulemaking to change its regulations as a result of AB 2138. This section of the packet provides draft formal responses to those comments that staff is asking for the board to approve. But before we do that, I'll ask Danielle Rogers, a regulations attorney for the DCA, to briefly summarize the public comments and the board's proposed responses that staff is asking the board to consider adopting. Danielle, please.
Good morning, everyone. This is Danny Rogers. I'm Regulations Counsel to the board, and I'm here to present item H2, which is consideration of adopting amendments to the board's AB 2138 package and approval of the proposed responses. As you saw in your board materials, the board staff only received a single comment letter from multiple parties. The proposed responses are contained in your materials. I can go over them, or I can simply open it up to questions to see if you'd like to ask any questions of me.
Doesn't look like there's any questions, Danielle.
Okay, can a motion be made at this point?
I have my hand raised.
I'm sorry, I don't have a thing that shows a hand, so I'll have to see you actually physically lift your hand or something. Oh, there you go. Go ahead, Diana.
Okay, I would like to hear the summary.
Certainly. So beginning on page 74 of your materials, it's actually page 66, but when you scroll through the document, it begins at page 74. The first comment stated that the proposed regulations left some gaps in the regulatory scheme in Business and Professions Code sections 480, 481, 482, and 493. The comment stated that the proposed regulations fail to meet and implement these statutes. The comment also stated that the proposed regulations fall short of the intent of the bill which includes combating discrimination against people with records who have demonstrated rehabilitation and seek to establish themselves professionally. And we are recommending that the board reject this comment based on the fact that we believe the proposal has captured the required legislative elements. Specifically, the purpose of the regulations is to clarify the substantial relationship criteria and the criteria for rehabilitation. And we've done those in the proposed regulations. These regulations would adopt all of the following criteria, which would assist the board in implementing a balanced approach to evaluating an applicant's eligibility for licensure. The first factor is the nature and gravity of the offense, the number of years elapsed since the date of the offense, and the nature and duties of the contractor or home improvement salesperson. Clarifying how to determine whether the crime is substantially related and clarifying the factors that will be considered should assist applicants and licensees with demonstrating their rehabilitation. So we are recommending that the board make no changes to the proposed regulations in response to this comment. Anyone have any questions about that one?
Danny, we do have a public comment.
Okay, do we want to have those now, or shall we hold them until the end of the summary?
Let's go ahead and take the public comment.
Okay, the public comment comes from Lynn Salmon. Lynn, go ahead and make your comments.
Does a contractor's board state license for legislation considering issuing a license on a provisional basis without requiring a test?
This is Rick. I'll repeat that in case you weren't able to hear it. It was a little garbly. Is the Contractors Board legislation considering to issuing licenses on a provisional basis without requiring a test?
Registrar, could you answer that, please?
We're not considering changing our test requirement at this time. That would be something that the board would need to consider if they wanted to consider at a future board meeting. It's not on this agenda. There's no steps being taken to remove the test requirement that currently exists.
Okay, is there any other public
That's
comment?
the only comment. That's the only comment at this point.
I don't see any hands up physically, so the staff recommendation is, I'm going to read that right now. It's at the bottom of page 73. Is that the board approve the responses as drafted to the public comments received on April 27th, 2020 on the board's proposed rulemaking regarding Title 16, Division 8, California Code of Regulations, Section 868, 868.1, 868, 869.5, and 869.9, and authorize staff to make any non-substantive changes to the board's comments for inclusion in the final statement of reasons. Is there a motion in support of that?
Motion to accept.
So moved.
Staff.
Got a motion?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment, Rick?
Yes, we do have one, somebody from the telephone. So stand by. You should hear a tone on your phone when I unmute you. Okay, go ahead and make your comments. Caller, do you have a comment?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'd like to address the distinguished board and served many years as a general contractor and also as an IE and arbitrator and earthquake response team member through the years. The input that I wanted to speak about today is with regard to application. When I applied back in '86, if you stated that you didn't have any convictions, that meant nothing about felonies. If you had a felony, that's something that would have had to been stated, but misdemeanors were not a part of what was considered at that time. Well, back in '08, I decided to take my test to become licensed in painting, and I did so and passed it. Well, back in 1980, there was a misdemeanor that was taken care of years ago. Obviously, that's now 40 years. And what happened was that my license was, some months later, I got a notice saying that I lied on my application and my license was denied for painting. Now, I think that I've had all these years experience, never had a violation against my license, never had any incidents since that 1980 misdemeanor. And I didn't think that since it was a misdemeanor, it was worthy of putting it down. So I checked the no box as I did when I first applied for my license. So I think that it may be some kind of amendment might be in order here for those folks who have had a license for many years and came in under a different pretense when the laws were different, with no violations against their license or lawsuits against the business, might be exempt from something like that, because I put in my fingerprints and did the whole thing that I needed to do. But DOJ, that particular incident popped up, and next thing I know, I lied on my application and it was denied. So, with all the experience that I have with the board and, on the IE program as an arbitrator and earthquake response team member, I think that I felt kind of slighted about that. So, and I'm not here to complain or whine about it. I just think that maybe in the future, if somebody else has a similar situation where they apply for a sub-license after having had a B license or any other license for that matter, and then applied for their sub-license and get it denied, it just seems out of kilter.
Thank you for your public comment. If you can hit *9 when you're done, and thank you. That's the only public comment we have on this.